between Wednesdays. What's up, folks? I'm your host, Konrad, on Wednesday Night Reviews, and tonight we are joined once again by Dalton K. Shannon and Wells Thompson.
Just Wells Thomp now.
Just Wells Thomp, yeah. Thanks for coming on once again.
Well, thanks for having us. It's great to have been on the show so much that we are now part of the intro. I noticed Mechaton in the scroll.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was making it, I had to go through it, and I like to update it every so often, keep it interesting and different. And your guys' cover is flashy. It had been recent at the time I had made that, but I don't know. I might be making a new one pretty soon, so we'll have to see how all that goes and get you included. But yes, my stereotypical question. I'm sure you're both very bored of it, but at this point, it's routine for me. So for the folks at home, whether they're watching live with us now or later on, checking out the campaign, for the folks who've never seen your faces, never heard your names, who are Dalton and Wells?
We are co-writers, co-creators. We are comics people, and if you haven't heard of us, you're probably one of the few lucky ones left. We make funny books. We're writers, and we have books like Mechaton, Descent into Dread, and currently on Kickstarter right now, Frankenstein The Unconquered. So welcome to the crew if you haven't seen us before.
Yeah, no, Dalton, Shannon, and Wells Thompson are a dynamic duo. We are goals. We are saving the world.
Oh, don't set us up like that.
No, I am everything I say ditto for Dalton, but yeah, I'm a comic book writer, responsible for all the things that he talks about, plus a few more things. Some short stories in anthologies like By Visibility and From the Static, and I have a full graphic novel coming out called The Cat Skin and the Rose. That is just me and Rachel Dissler joint. But yeah, other than that, it's comics and it's fun and monsters and punching things.
I love it always, because you guys are truly just fun. And obviously, we're here today to talk about another Kickstarter that you've got going on. This one being Frankenstein The Unconquered. Now, the title on the webpage is 1 through 4, so I'm assuming people can get all 4 issues.
Absolutely. Of course.
But specifically, this is for the release of the 3rd and 4th issue, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
That is right.
We're collecting funding to be able to make issues 3 and 4.
But feel free to grab all 4 if you're just checking in for the first time.
If you're brand new, get all 4. If you've gotten 1 and 2 and you want to continue the series, 3 and 4 are available to you. And we do denote in the actual reward tiers which are for new backers and which ones are for old backers. So it should not be difficult to figure out where you need to be.
But if you accidentally click on everything, we can't stop you.
I mean, there's some options out there for people. They can go ahead, get crazy, get everything, and go wild. And I hope they do. As people can see, we've got 22 days left, so the campaign's been active 8 days. In Canadian, I have to preface that for all of my American guests. In Canadian, you've raised $8,945 out of a $13.5-ish thousand goal.
It's a lot of toonies.
That's a hell of a lot of toonies. That is so many Tim Horton double doubles. So you're about 75%-ish the way there. You guys have done this a lot, right? Like, this is
our 9th campaign. Yeah.
Yeah, this is commonplace for you. But I gotta ask, the continued quickness of how you're getting funded, does that feel good? Is it just sort of become normal and you're focusing and your attention and your excitement lives elsewhere? What's that feel like?
I'm pretty sure we're always on the edge of our seats with funding. Like, Kickstarter is by no means a guarantee campaign to campaign. Like, you can expect a certain amount, but you can't ever expect that you're going to dock the ship every single time. So yeah, we're always a little on pins and needles, but like Frankenstein specifically has proven itself to be a hot enough commodity that we can kind of breathe easy about it.
Easier for sure.
Easier, like books like Mechaton are like, yeah, we know they're going to get funded, but it's always like a last minute funding with Mechaton. It always likes to just wait, and Frank always is. You can breathe a little easier, so we can kind of focus on maybe stretch goals, or we can start thinking about the next issues, or literally anything to take our minds off the campaign. But yeah, I won't say it gets easier, it gets better, but it's different.
I have learned to manage my stress in a much healthier way since the first campaign. That's all I'll say about that. I don't think the stress has gone away. I've just learned to manage it better.
That's genuinely good to hear, because I do remember in the first interview I ever did with you guys, and I do believe it was for Frank #1. Yeah, the attitude was very much so a little bit shakier, a little bit more like, we're very anxious, we're very excited, we've made a cool thing, but oh god.
Yeah.
And yeah, you guys, like I said, like I can't tell if you've noticed by the way I'm talking, but you guys are like cool as cucumbers. You're just like, all right, whatever, we're fine, we got this.
We had a very big start, and there are several of our friends who are on Kickstarter that are in the same boat that we are. It's easy to see what the overall trend on Kickstarter looks like based on the other campaigns and other creators that are on at the same time as you. So we know we're not experiencing anything necessarily out of the ordinary, and we're doing fine. And there's nothing that suggests we won't be able to hit funding unless a catastrophe happens, tomorrow. We're pretty
Elon
sure.
Musk buys Kickstarter.
Oh god! No, don't even with that.
Oh no!
Don't hurt me like that.
Have to manifest our goals, guys.
Honestly, that is the single trickiest thing about this campaign has been between last campaign and this campaign, Twitter has pretty much dropped off the face of the earth. Engagement is down by an order of magnitude. At least from my perspective, it seems very, very hard to actually get things in front of on people's eyeballs. Whereas last campaign felt very smooth, and Twitter was a big part of getting the message out. This one feels extremely forced and just pulling teeth a little bit.
Interesting. Okay, well, I feel like we've been talking a lot of shop, and we haven't discussed sort of an important thing here, which is for the newbies out there. Can you give sort of a description, a synopsis of what Frankenstein The Unconquered is, and then, given we're talking about 3 and 4, there will be some spoilers, but
yeah,
what's new with 3 and 4? What's going on, or maybe just 3? I don't know. However you want to play it, guys.
Yeah. To that, I would say no. Live in suspense. No, it's Frankenstein the Unconquered is our action horror series about Frankenstein's monster thawing from the ice 500 years in the future to discover a burned out post-apocalypse. Dalton's
You all right,
dying.
Sorry.
Rip Dalton.
The good doctor's going to get some parts here.
Absolutely. It's
That
about
description just went down the wrong pipe. I'm sorry.
did not work out for us. It's about the titular monster trying to find his way in a world that is broken and hostile, and finding it difficult to leave the sort of violence life that he's led up to this point. It's a very much a love letter to Conan the Barbarian and 80s action horror and Universal horror monsters, and just dope pulp comics that Dalton and I love. So, if that sounds fun to you.
Yeah, and 3 and 4 are a little bit of a different swing than our previous 2 issues, in that the first issue was a lot of preamble, a lot of setup. Issue 2 was versus the Wolfman, and now issue 3 finds Frank in a position he's not used to being in, which is captured, and has to along with Larry, our Wolfman, find out how to escape the clutches of Mr. Hyde and his lover Byron, Lord Byron, who helped launch Frank into space in the first place. And then issue 4 is also.
Also, I will point out, is technically a character in the Universal horror realm.
Correct. And then issue 4 is another odd slice for Frank in that he's in a detective story, and he and Larry mystery. And the Invisible Man have to team up to try and figure out a murder mystery in a small village. So we're taking Frank in these 2 issues and really taking him out of his element and seeing how he is able to either solve the problem or find a way to punch his way out of the problem. And a lot of the times, neither one of those work for him, and he actually has to ask for help, which is also uncomfortable for him. So they're 2 great issues in that we get to just try something different.
I dig it, and it's one couple things, but one, as a giant fan of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I am very curious, and again, no spoilers, so I'll just have to get the book.
Absolutely.
But I'm very curious to see if you've used the actual Dr. Jekyll to create that character. Is it just a different dude with the serum?
It's a very different take, I'll say, on the character.
Still Jekyll, but definitely not Robert Louis Stevenson's Dr. Jekyll.
It's not the book Jekyll, and I would venture to say it's probably not really any depiction of Jekyll in the movies either. But it does sort of play on the original ideas in the novella, the original book, as well as some of the iconography of the horror movies, which is sort of the balance that we've always struck in Frankenstein the Unconquered, or at least what I've always tried to do with the monsters is maintain the core of the originals while still playing with the iconography that made them famous.
Oh, absolutely. One thing that I wanted to ask for returning fans who are going to be picking up 3 and 4, if I'm not mistaken, the interiors are now done by a new artist. Is that correct?
Correct.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. One thing that I, just from going over the pages, one thing that I'm digging is the first 2 issues had a very sharp, I guess, design.
Yeah.
Whereas, like,
bold lines, cross hatching, absolutely. Mary Landon's
very
style
gothic.
Is
gothic
and loud and metal. Yeah. And we really liked that style, but we also wanted Ellie, the new artist, to come in and embrace, and do her thing and not try and copy it. And she does a lot grungier, a lot, the character work is a little bit more intricate. The world feels dirty and grimy in a way that I absolutely adore. I think both are equally great. And there's definitely a difference between the 2. It might take a little bit of adjustment. But I think both tell the story equally well, and you aren't missing anything by, switching the art styles.
Absolutely not. Mary was really great at that epic myth-making nature that those first 2 issues of Frankenstein called for. Needed. And now that we are settling into this new world and we're getting to actually see some of the people and the day-to-days and the grittiness of the world, Ellie's able to capture that better than any other artist I can think of in the indie comic space. And we're privileged to be able to work with someone who can bring this world to life like this.
One of the things that I love is the way that Ellie, and that's their name, correct?
Elizabeth McKenzie. She goes
McKenzie.
by Ellie. She goes by Ellie. She's a Georgian artist. Was, I think, most recently featured in Sharpwit and the Company of Women.
I just got my copy 2 days ago.
Yep. Yeah, no, I did too. Just last week. Really incredible book so far that I've read from it. But yeah, she came on our radar sometime last year, and we, had to put ourselves in a situation where we needed someone to pick up Frank. We really tore our hair out over it, and we landed on her because I think she carries, again, that sort of like very grungy spirit of Conan, of pulpy sort of 80s, horror comics.
Yes, like when I saw this, very like just the organic sort of looseness of the lines, the heavy cross hatching, the black inks. Yeah, absolutely. It was like, oh, that's like Creepshow. That's Bernie Wright. That's
absolutely.
Yeah, that's where my brain went, and I'm like, I love it. It fits this so well.
Yeah, and it's great to see Dahlia's colors on Ellie's pencils and inks. Like having that through line between Mary and Ellie be Dahlia. We couldn't have asked for a better through line.
For sure. Dahlia is fantastic, and she took the challenge of sort of keeping that continuity while adding to a different line artist style, and loved the hell out of it. She was saying she developed a whole new process for coloring that for this book that she really likes.
You'll notice it's a lot less like metal neon than the first two issues. The neon is still there, but it's not as piercing.
I'm excited to see what she does with the rest of the book, because she may very well go back to neon in some key scenes. Who knows?
Yeah,
that would be sick. One thing I have to ask, because I find it fascinating, is given now that you're so many issues into the series, you're 2 down, you're working on 3 and 4. Did you at all have to re-gear the story because of the change in art, or was it just sort of a seamless pick up and go?
Seamless. Actually.
I think it was mostly seamless. I think we just sort of we've been floundering on whether or not issue 4 would exist in its current state for a while now. So and so the issue 4 that we landed on was probably not the issue 4 that we originally were having in mind. It was but that has less to do with the art style and more to do with just how much space we felt like we had to tell the story and what we could do with the amount of time that we have. So yeah, that was more of an overall big picture thing than a what works for this particular artist.
I will say I don't know if we would even have this issue number 4 if Mary was still doing the art. Since it's such a smaller story, that kind of epic nature that Mary was really great at. I don't know if it would have been fair to Mary if we had gone with this issue instead of like a different kind of number 4. Probably would have had to retool number 4 if it wasn't Ellie on the book. So I'm really glad we have the number 4 that we're going with, because it's such a cool mystery story.
I dig it. And one thing that almost immediately popped into my head when you guys contacted me was this question, which is simply, because of the bulk of my folks I interview, they're either doing it number 1 or maybe a sequel, or they're doing a graphic novel, something like that. So it's usually a first time or a big collection. It's not actually that often that I get to interview people who are doing issues 3 and 4, because you're kind of deeper into the story. You're halfway to a conventional graphic novel now, or at least with what we're getting released. Whatever you've written, I'm sure keeps going, but you know what I mean. I guess the question I want to ask for myself and for anyone who's thinking of getting into comics and creating, what's the difference between writing a good number 1 and maybe a number 2, because you got to take that, like, yes, number 1, I'm bought in, you've got to run with it, keep people interested. But what's the key to getting 3 and 4, that staying power of, like, we've got you, you're on our hook, now we've got to lead you through a world? How do you do that?
That's
let us
really
know if we've stuck the landing. No, I think
it's a different beast. Yeah.
I think that the key difference is we've spent a lot of time establishing the world and the presence of the characters, and sort of told you who they are in the most basic sense. And the middle issues are about first of all, getting where we need to go, in a way that doesn't just check the boxes. Because that's the worst thing is just trying to there's an obvious destination and we're just trying to get there. That feels like we're wasting time in the middle issues. I think the best thing a middle issue can do is significantly develop relationships and add to the world in such a way that you're interested to see more, and make it believable, that escalate things to the point that by the time you get to the big climax, it's a really believable A to B. Ideally, this isn't always the case, but ideally in most stories, your characters are going to change over time. And it's really imperative, at least to me, that for what the middle issues are changing your characters enough a little bit so that they're still recognizably what you started with, but not quite where you want them to be, so that you don't have all of the character development happening in the last 5 pages of a 5-issue arc. Which certainly can happen.
Structurally, I think the difference between a first issue and every subsequent issue is I don't know if it needs to be that significant. And by that, I mean, if you're doing individual chapters, 1, 2, 3, 4 at a time, as opposed to releasing a complete graphic novel, you kind of need to make sure that each of those installments does kind of stand on their own. They can't just feel like treading water until the next chapter. Something like Will said, a relationship has to change, a big event has to occur. Something's got to happen to set that particular chapter apart from every single one that either came before or goes after. It's a balancing act, because you also don't want to have to rehash a lot of the same stuff, because I mean, for some people 3 and 4 may be their first foray into Frank, and if they're not going to read issue 1 and 2, I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you're not, we have to make sure that we're establishing characters, and you have to make sure that you can jump in at 3 and leave at 3. I don't recommend that, but you can have this self-contained little thing here, and it works as a standalone episode. When you have a huge collection or a huge graphic novel, you can afford to tread a little bit of space. You can afford to let things breathe a little bit. But when you're doing individual issues, it's a completely different beast, and it has its own rewards and challenges. It's kind of the way I prefer to write, is episodically. I don't know if I don't have the stamina to do an entire graphic novel, but it's 20 to 24-page installments. That's my sweet spot. Yeah,
I'm all about the big ass overarching story, but that's why we work well. That's one of the many reasons Dalton and I work well together. Is he's very good at the macro, or at the micro, at dialogue and sort of small scenes and making big moments happen, and saying, oh, here's what we can make happen in this one issue. And I've got my eye on okay, what's the overall impact of the story? How do we point this in the general direction of where we want to go?
I dig it. Now, we've gone a little longer than I normally like to when I ask this question, but I got to bug you about price and everything like that, and the reward tiers. But I find with you two, normally, I think I know the answer to this one, but for the folks at home, often what a Kickstarter does is basically give you money to pay your artists to draw the book and then go publish the book. You're now doing 2 issues. So are issues 3 and 4 fully drawn? Are they what stages are they at? Or are we just at the point of what's drawn is what we're seeing?
Yeah, what's drawn is more or less what you're seeing. Now I intend to get, Ellie started on issues 3 and 4 as soon as I feel comfortable that we're 100% crossing the line.
Nice.
So yeah, I want to get this out as quickly as possible. I want people to be able to enjoy it and have it in their hands and know that the next one is on its way. So yeah, we are, on the one hand, we want to get it out as quickly as possible. On the other hand, both on a personal basis and on a professional basis on what actually happens, crunch doesn't actually help anything. It doesn't actually get things out faster and of better quality for the most part. It just winds up hurting the people who are working really hard. So we're also affording as much time to our artists as possible that they can comfortably make the thing happen. Which is why our estimate is in, I think, March of next year that it'll all come out. Now,
Nice.
Given what Ellie has told me about how quickly she works and how fast I think we can get it out, I think it'll be sooner than that. How much sooner, I don't know exactly. But I want to make sure people have like a reasonable expectation of we're not going to be able to get it out to them. You know, it's September now. They're not going to get it by Halloween.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but we are working on it as quickly as possible. And, you know, I would personally, my dream, I would love to get to the point I can just tell them, I can just tell my artist, hey, go ahead and make it.
Just go.
And just get, like, before we even get started, and by the time we do the funding for it, by the time we have the pre-orders over, it's already done, and as soon as we end, I can ship it out. That'd be phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know, that takes a little bit more consistent performance than what we have been getting, and that's fine. Building an audience takes time, and we're going to continue to produce really high quality comics until we have the audience there that we can speed up production. So
nice. Like one thing I am, especially because you guys have together done so much.
Mm-hmm.
I am, and again, I appreciate we're live, so you don't have to answer this. You don't. Maybe it's not even a question. It's just a statement.
Sure.
I'm going to say it. I am shocked that maybe not necessarily Image, but Scout. What is it? AWA or AMA? AWA. Aftershock. I feel like they've got to be sort of swimming in the water around you two, going, I don't know. These guys do a heck of a lot of comics.
Well, if they are, they can feel free to contact us at any point.
Don't be scared. I only bite a little, and you'll like it.
We have been working with Scout on Mechaton.
Mm-hmm.
They have Volume 1 coming to stores at some point. I don't have a date from them, so I can't say 100% for sure when that'll be. As much as I would love to debut it on air. I just don't know.
Previews, to be honest.
But yeah, no, we are very open to working with publishers, to getting our book out in as many ways as we can.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm not at this point going to close the door on anything. I'll say that Frankenstein, we're not actively shopping at the moment. Simply because we want to make sure that we can tell, especially this first arc, the way we want to tell it, and get it out to our backers in a way that feels very personal. Like, this was between us. You helped us make this. Thank you so much. Here's a story that we kind of crafted together. And then once we have a full story, take the time to go out and say, all right, here's Frankenstein The Unconquered Volume 1. It's done. We doing this or not? Kind of have the more confidence to say we have a full product for you. We don't need, we're not hanging on your ability to make this happen or to sell this.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, here's the thing, sell it for me.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I dig it. So the next question, getting it out to people. 1 and 2 were done. So my brain is like in a logistics basis. So in 20, I appreciate it's probably actually 23 days, because 22 ends the thing. 23, you would get the money, but
no. Wait,
Oh.
It's about 2 weeks after the case is
Oh.
over. Yeah.
Okay,
You
so
didn't know that, yeah.
I didn't. Good to know. For the folks out there that back it for all 4 of them, and obviously don't have the first 2 yet, are they going to be getting, like, when can they expect the digitals? When can they expect the physicals? Like, do you need to reprint them? Do you have a box of them and you're just going to go, here's a signature?
Yeah, let's take you down to my basement real quick. You can
Oh,
Oh,
no!
God, this is
Don't
gonna
go
be
to the
fun.
basement. No, no.
No, so physical copies will ship all at once. We're gonna wait until we have
Mhm.
3 and 4.
Oh,
That is a cost shade. You know, if you guys are desperate to spend, 12, 14, however, like twice as much on shipping, let's do it. Absolutely. But as just a way of cutting down on waste and making sure that we're being as cost effective as possible, 1 through 4 are going to ship together.
Nice.
Digital copies should come out pretty quickly after the end of the
Mhm.
campaign. It's not too hard to bundle that together and say, here you go.
Those digitals come out as soon as they're done, more or less. So they hit
And
that,
then
they
same,
hit that
yeah.
inbox.
And then same with,
Yeah.
with 3 and 4. As soon as we get done with 3, it's going to hit digital. As soon as we get done with 4, it's going to hit digital. And then after we, actually have everything printed, we'll ship it all out together. But digitals come out, generally faster.
I dig it. So people can get, especially the first 2. If you haven't read Frank out there yet,
Mhm.
pre-order or not pre-order. Well, I guess it's a pre-order.
It's a pre-order.
You can say pre-order.
Pledge your tier,
Pledge.
pre-order your books, and you'll get issues 1 and 2 October. I don't know what October.
October 5th is when the campaign ends. I'm going to say by Halloween you'll have it. I'm not
Love it.
going to put a date on it.
And
But
then
you'll
also,
have your spooky book for spooky season.
you know what? Maybe wait for Halloween or All Hallows Eve and be like, here, from us to you, Halloween gift. Boom. I think that'd be fitting, actually. So we're like halfway through, and I didn't get to the important question. The tiers. I'm gonna bring it back up so people can see, because this is just the page. Sick ass logo as always.
Oh yeah, Brenda Snell is our designer.
Thanks, Brenda.
And she makes our entire page look beautiful, as well as the books look well put together. She is the heart and soul of this operation. Absolutely, cannot give enough credit to Brenda.
Thank you, Brenda, for making awesome text on my wall. Walk me through the available tiers. I sort of scrolled through earlier and I noticed a lot are already gone, which is fantastic to see.
Yeah, well, we have obviously we do our early bird digital specials, first 48 hours for the early adopters. To encourage people to get out and pledge as early as possible and to reward our repeat fans. We have available everything from your digital copies, your base tier, getting just the brand new stuff, all the way up to a $250 like deluxe adopting a page kind of tier, which I'll get into in a second. But digital catch up, digital regular tiers. So whether you're new or old, you can come in, get digital copies if you don't want anything shipped to you, if you prefer digital, however you want to do it. It's just like a very standard buy-in tier for people who want to be involved but don't want to spend too much, which, hey, I totally get it. I spend a lot on Kickstarter and I don't necessarily want to break bank on every single campaign. Physical tiers, if you want the physical copy, which is usually the most popular, is the A tier, the Heather Vaughn covers, and who can blame them? They are spectacular. Issue 3 cover is so good.
There's just a GIF of them right there.
Yep. Yeah, you can cycle through those and see which ones you like.
I love this, by the way. This is sick.
Oh, thank you.
The GIF. Yeah.
Again, Brenda, thank you.
Brenda.
Absolutely. So the comic is 20 pages. Each issue is 20 pages. So you're getting 40 new pages of comic. If we hit a stretch goal, which we're on pace to do, we will also include 4 pages on each of them, or 4 extra pages of prose short story. So it's a 24-page comic essentially with a thank you page and sort of a little bit of extra there. Yeah, absolutely. B covers by Fernando Pinto and Kara Husset, who are both phenomenal artists in very different lanes. Kara does the Sparrow and is very prolific in like superhero fan art circles. Fernando draws Mechaton, our other series. So a little bit of a connection there, but he does a really, really sick, sort of over-the-top Frankenstein in chains, absolutely kills the aesthetic. And then I think the next one down is our C covers, our not safe for work covers. These are a little bit more premium. Actually, it's the physical catch-up. That's totally fine. But that's for new for your new guys. These are all of the Heather Vaughn covers for you. And if you want the B covers, we have the B covers as well. We have all the covers in add-ons. We just didn't want to make a tier for all of them, so keep that in mind as well.
Fair.
Issues 3 and 4, not safe for work covers. These are sick. I don't have anything to do. Frankenstein is rated R anyway, so we thought, wouldn't it be fun to do,
make it rated X.
Yeah.
Make it a little
is
smutty.
fun.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
And we have Chris Sheehan on that issue 3 cover, and Flops returns for the issue 4 not safe for work cover. Both are incredible. I can't stress that enough. I think that one might be the most popular on this particular campaign.
I've got to say the muscle. What actually caught me was the definition in the.
Oh my god! Yeah,
Right?
no, Chris has a mastery of male anatomy that I have not seen in quite a large section of indie comics Twitter. It is truly incredible, and the way he does lighting is fantastic as well.
So beautiful.
And then we have hollow foil covers. So 12-point hollow foil covers.
Hollow Point comics. That'd be great.
Yeah.
We're doing bullet covers, guys.
You know it. No, these are fantastic. These are Heather Vaughn's art with shiny, glossy shiny iridescent covers, glossy interiors. We use like a sort of silk or satin for the interior pages normally, but for these we do really high gloss. So if you prefer that really high sheen, these are the way to go. But yeah, these are the things you display. These are the things you show off. Collector's tier, all of the all 4 covers for both comics, 3 and 4. So yeah, you get big fat bang for your buck. It's also 10% off. I think they price up to 120 or 125, and we knocked it down to 110.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Savings, awesome covers.
Yeah,
Gotta love it.
for sure. Everything priced down priced down 25%, so you get all of the Frankenstein related add-ons as well as all of the covers for 3 and 4.
Damn.
And then after that, I think it's the collector's catch up. So if you're
Yeah.
brand new and you want all of the covers and everything, there you go. That's your option. Gets you everything you could ask for. Also at, I think, a 10% discount of what it would normally be.
That's what it says. I'm going to take your word for it, but it sounds about right.
I did the math at the time, and I believe me.
You know what? One thing I've got to get you guys in touch with actually is another. I'm going to be interviewing them. I've previously checked out some of their work. Is a guy who runs a show called Sketchelmania. Very specifically, I know him as Martin Slam Duncan. That is not his name.
That's a great name.
It is
Fantastic.
The whole shtick of his show is it's kind of he runs it like as though it were a wrestling match.
That's awesome.
And then he has all the sketch artists come out and they do it. Yeah, I think you'd be into it. But I want to connect you guys because he did a book last year called Dracula Visions, where he took a bunch of local artists and he would take a page of Bram Stoker's Dracula and then have them draw a single panel or not a panel, a page based on it.
Very cool.
And he did the whole thing. And this year he's doing one for Frankenstein. So not that I think you'd maybe work together, although that would be cool. I just think you would appreciate it given the subject matter.
Oh, for sure. No, we love.
He's adapting the first chapter of Frankenstein The Unconquered, so yeah.
There you go. And what?
Love that. And then finally, yes, our
tell me
Adopt
about
page. So this is something that, to my knowledge, only we do. You, for the price of what it takes to create a page of the book, we put your name on that page. We send you an 11x17 poster of the page that you buy, so that you can hang it on your wall. and we put your name on the front of the book above everyone else's in the thank you section to say, hey, they adopted page X. And yeah, it's a really cool way of sort of allowing people to take ownership over pages of the book, because all this art is done digitally. We don't have the physical copies or like the physical, original art to send to people. So this was sort of our compromise for that. You also get the foil covers of the book, so you get the very show-offy covers.
Damn.
Yeah, to enjoy as well.
That's actually super cool, though. Like someone literally, if they love the project, if it's right up their alley, if it's for them, they can literally pay and get one of those pages made.
Absolutely.
That's sick. I think it's a unique tier. You're correct. I don't think anyone else is doing this. I love that you put their name on the page. You put them in the thank you notes. But I think, as someone like myself personally, as someone who loves indie comics, who loves just comics in general, if there's anyone out there who just is really passionate about this, I think this is like the ultimate form of like getting a book, because you literally are the reason something gets made.
For sure. And that was definitely our intention, is we wanted to really show appreciation to backers who are really passionate about this, who want us, who want this book to succeed in a very personal way, and we wanted to give them something to really to chew on, and that would reward them for that much commitment to the book.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's so damn cool.
I thought so too.
Yeah, it's like I said, I love unique stuff, and with Kickstarter, I think there is a chance for people to interact with the creative team in a way that no other capacity in comics does, right? Like any of the big time creators, Marvel, DC, Boom, Image, I can ad nauseum go for it, but there's not a way that I can be like, hey, Scott Snyder, blah, and then because of that, pages in his book are made, or he's inspired, or whatever. I think with this, like you're letting people get super hands-on with it. It's just a unique opportunity.
Yeah, no, that was definitely the intention, and to that effect, that's sort of what Kickstarter is great at. I can say from personal experience, every time I get a pledge, I'm aware of it, because I'm very addicted to checking the feed and and seeing what happens on a minute-to-minute basis. So I know when you pledge, and it fills me with so much serotonin. If you're about to point out that we've gotten a pledge since we've been doing this live, we have. I know their name, and I know how much they pledged, and I'm very excited.
Cool. Thank you, whoever you are. If you're watching live, that would be super cool. But
I will not sacrifice.
Oh my God.
That's not cool.
We're not going to embarrass you with how much you just spent. It's fine.
But now Dalton's like a business person.
What I will say is they got the not safe for work covers, so don't feel embarrassed. Woo! Everyone does it, as they should.
Absolutely. Hey, we're all adults here. Let's have a good time. Enjoy what we enjoy. I have the entire collection of Sunstone on my shelf right there.
And if you're not an adult getting Frankenstein The Unconquered, just don't tell your parents.
Yeah, really.
Wow, what a cool kid you are.
Yeah, seriously.
Also, how do you have access to a credit card? What's the matter with you?
We don't ask questions what these Fortnite kids are doing, okay?
No. Hey, as long as the check clears.
God. So Dalton, something that sort of came to mind for me is
what's going on with that hat, Dalton? That's okay.
It's the twins.
Wow. Yeah, it's the twins. Come on. I mean,
sorry,
I like the twins.
We're a Blue Jays fan on this show, actually, but whatever.
Okay, well, they're just so
there's a lot of
good this year.
on this show.
No, I don't hate the Blue Jays. They're good.
Yeah, I mean, as a Blue Jays fan, I love them. They're doing all right. Ups and downs. That's what the whole thing is for. It's entertaining. And for everyone else that just heard sport, we should probably talk about more comics and stuff. So Dalton, what I wanted to ask was, Wells has got a couple of his own projects going on, which is exciting. And Wells, All the best.
Thank you.
Dalton, I'm curious. Do you have anything on the back burner? Is there anything cooking for you? Are we going to see a
Oh, yeah.
prose book come out? Say what
Well,
you're willing to say. Don't give spoilers. No pressure.
Well, it's funny you mentioned prose. So after our last campaign, I was I was in a headspace where I was wondering if I was ever going to get any of these projects that I have on a back burner in a binder somewhere ever made, ever. Because I was convinced that they all had to be comic books. And comic books just take time and money to make. That's just the nature of the beast. And then I just kind of had this little light switch go off in my head. And I was like, what? These don't have to be comics. Like the only thing standing between me and making the story is just writing the story. So I've pulled a ton of at least 3 or 4 old comic series that I thought I was going to make as comics, and I've decided to turn them into little prose chapters. So basically an issue of a comic, but it's prose. And so I'm working on kind of doing pulps, like old pulp novel stuff. I'm in the process of actually writing those at the moment, but hopefully we're looking at 2024 when I start launching all of those. But yeah, there's like about 3 or 4 projects that I'm seeing if I can balance between, and if not, I'll just stick to one. But my ADD brain won't let me focus for too long, so we'll see. But yeah, no. So I've got projects coming up. I'm about to relaunch the website again, and we'll see how those go. And if I crash and burn doing prose, then I'll just suck it up and learn how to draw.
I love it. I was going to say, you've got comics still. I'm so curious, and I appreciate that this is in the infancy stage of literally being made into something. You mentioned like you said, little zine, sort of pulpy books.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, my brain went to like series of unfortunate events that were literally like little thin paperbacks, and you eventually get them in a collection where there's like 10 books collected. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of I appreciate maybe not the genre or the adult tone of it, but
yeah, I mean the books like Series of Unfortunate Events are they're books for children, which I am definitely one of the series I'm working on is books for children, so it's fine. But each story averages around like 10,000 words, so they're more like novelettes.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done, it's about 24 pages of comic story in prose. So it's they're going to be like almost little pamphlets, and when you get them all together, you're going to have like a novel more or less. Cool. But I like the idea of experimenting and trying to release it like chapters, and then once all those chapters are out, get the book together. Yeah, like you said, it's very much in its infancy, and there's a lot of cogs to figure out how to get those to turn. But no, I'm excited about the idea of the experiment, and honestly, just getting to write and tell stories has been incredible for my mental health. Because for the longest time, it's like I would write 20 pages of comic script, and then we would have to wait forever for the book to actually happen, which I can't be mad about. That's just how comics work. Yep. And now I get to actually I get to go at whatever pace I want, and the story just gets made. And so I'm excited to try it out and see what comes of it.
I totally dig it. Well, I am excited to see what happens and how it all turns out. You mentioned something that I am always so curious. You actually mentioned 2 things. So one thing I've noticed among great, it might just be literally all comic creators, I don't know. But one thing I've noticed among the great ones, I'm thinking Chip Zdarsky, Jeff Lemire, Scott Snyder's mentioned it. All of them seemingly, as writers, have like 3, 4, 5 scripts. One's down here in a drawer, one's over there in the bookshelf or whatever. and they just kind of write and create as they go. And that seems to be a trend among creators. Do you both find working on multiple projects keeps it sort of fresher for you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's also a sort of necessity of the medium. Script writing is not as intensive as prose writing, and the production times are far greater. So I could spend 3 months, or I can spend 3 months to a year, depending on what kind of madman I am, writing a novel and like editing and perfecting it, and by the end of that, I have a novel done. It takes me, depending on how motivated I am, between a week and a month. So if it's a really big pain in the ass, 2 months to write a full comic arc. And at that point, it could be another 2, 3. If we're on production, if we're moving directly onto it, it's still going to be another year and a half, maybe 2 years before I see it in print. And that's issue 1. That's not the whole thing, usually.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, for my own sake, I can't just be hanging on that one, issue 1. I need to go find something else to do. I need to write the rest of the series. I need to find another story to tell. And so, when we were starting out doing Mechaton, it was just moving slowly, and we said, okay, well, I think we can handle another series. Let's try Frank 2. And then we were juggling both, and we were like, okay, there's still a little bit of lag time. Maybe we go do something else. And we brought Depths in, and I started working on Catskin and the Rose, and it's just kind of grown from there. So I'm currently writing something. I'm working on Mechaton and Frankenstein, with both of them working on the second arc for those, and we're ping-ponging some old ideas that are already technically written, but we could use a quick revamp. Plus, I have novels that I would love to spend more time on, revamp, and maybe get out there at some point.
I dig it. What about you, Dalton? How do you find like you said, how does your ADHD brain like splitting its attention?
Splitting the attention is actually the worst. I have the hyper focus to where I will just like Frank. I have written all 13 issues of Frank. I did it in like 2 weeks. I was just in a tear, and I was like, Frank's done. I'm moving on to the next project. And Wells is like, we have to edit these, And I'm like, edit, schmedit. I'm moving on to the next thing. And so that's kind of, it helps to have multiple projects so that I can dig into them as soon as I get them. So as soon as I'm done with Frank, I can go to Mechaton. As soon as I'm done with Mechaton, I can go to Depths. I can go and go. So my brain is always occupied, and it always has something fresh to kind of dig into. The moment I jump projects is the moment I lose a lot of interest in and momentum in the previous. And not because there's nothing there that interests me. It's just my brain craves novelty. And if it's not new to me anymore, it takes a lot to have to get me to pull back in, which is why editing is so hard for me to do, because I'm like, I've already done this. Like, I don't want to look at this script anymore once it's done. That's kind of how I feel about all the comics we've published. I'm like, all right, I'm done with that. Let's next thing.
Really?
So
interesting.
Yeah, I don't generally like looking at the old. I'll give it a read once it's in my hands, and then I'm done with it. And I'm like, all right, that's old stuff. I want to make new stuff.
Yeah.
So that's generally how my project hopping goes. Thankfully, Wells is here to drag me back in when we have to like actually look at old scripts. And it's like, it's time for Frankenstein #3, and I'm like, I already wrote that. It's like, I know, we have to do it again.
I'm like, I hate to tell you this, but the characters have changed.
Yeah, it all needs work, and I'm like, fine.
By the time we get to issue 6, it's like, we're rewriting this from scratch. You know that, right? And he's like, but why can't it just be the same? But it is very much that butterfly effect of you tweak one little thing in issue 1, and suddenly issue 6 is unrecognizable. Yeah.
Fascinating. That's so cool. Like it's one thing I've noticed among a lot of the big comic creators I've talked with and the successful folks out there, the successful writers, I'll say, the artists, I find they pretty well need to hanker down and be able to like, let me pump out.
You have to be able
pages.
to focus, and that's why I can't be a comic artist, because I can't focus long enough to draw a page.
I've seen him get bored.
A comic.
I've very quickly seen him get bored. Like drawing, he starts off a page so energetic, and he might get 2 pages in, and then by the third one, he's like, "Can we do anything else? Can I please do something else?"
We were in a live drawing session with a bunch of serious artists, and I started drawing the model, and then I was like, and now there's a tail, and now there's monsters, and I'm already bored.
I mean, you know what? I think maybe, and again, this is me being highly just speculative here, but I think maybe there's something to that helps in some creative capacity. Just latch on to different ideas and deep dive and figure stuff out and create. Because it's like I said, it's just an interesting commonality I've noticed that I'll kind of find interesting.
Well, that's why that's why I think it feels like the spontaneity and the dialogue and like the moment to moment stuff in the stuff I write tends to shine so brightly, and why the overall narrative tends to fracture in my writing, and why Wells is here to be able to kind of help bring that out and make it shine. Because moment to moment, like my brain is on all cylinders, but when I have to think about how it all fits together, like my brain can't sit down and focus on that.
Yeah, when we get to the trade, we'll talk about some of the specifics of that, because it's difficult to talk about without getting into spoilers. We don't have the whole picture yet, but
we'll come on and we'll do a live commentary.
But like issue 4, one of the big reasons that issue 4, as we alluded to earlier, changed as much as it did and is in its current state that it is now, is just because in kind of the macro, it wasn't even there at first. It needed to be there because we were missing a piece.
It's a fill-in.
Not in a negative way, just in
not a negative way. It's just like we needed
a
pickup issue, and I was like, okay, I guess we have a pickup issue now.
That's cool. That's cool. Like to get that kind of look that you've given me behind the scenes of what's going on. I love it. That's why I like doing this, because it's so cool. That being said, we've got like 2.5 minutes until the hour is up. So I guess, you know what? Let's get this one out here. For the folks watching either now or in the future, in the next 22 days, while they can still back the campaign, what is the best place for people to follow you? Where are you most active on social media if they want to give you that follow? And what's the best way for them to find the link? I'll say, other than Googling Frankenstein The Unconquered, because if they Google that, they will find it real quick and easy. But yeah, what's your socials? How can they reach out? How can they find you? Let them know.
Well, a real quick way to find the link is go to Kickstarter and just start looking around in the comics section, because we are a product we love and we will pop up.
And Witchstarter.
And Witchstarter as well, which is something I didn't even know was a thing until they were just like, you're a part of this.
What?
They have a
spooky stuff.
Spooky season Kickstarter drive.
It's like a spooky project we love almost.
It's awesome.
It's great. It's great. No, there's a lot of cool books in there, and it's cool to be
a lot of cool stuff.
A part of that.
But the best place that you can find us is our newsletter, which comes out once a month on Substack. It's called Comics, Cats, and Cocktails. You can find
it's actually
it
coming out soon.
My name, Wells Thompson, at Wells Thompson, I think is what it is. And yeah, I am still looking for a new social media home. Twitter is falling apart at the seams. It's really heartbreaking, because I did a lot of work to try and build up my following there, and I met a lot of really cool people there, and I'm really sad that it's breaking in real time. But it is, so I'm moving on. I am on Blue Sky. I technically have a Threads. I think I made one thing on it. And you can find me on Facebook if anyone's still on Facebook. Until I find a good home, just find me anywhere. I also have a Ko-Fi page and a website where you can find all of the links to all the things that I'm doing. So wellsthompson.com. If nothing else, that is always there for you.
Yep. And DaltonKShannon.com, like I said, is under a little bit of maintenance, but should be getting a nice facelift here soon. I am not on any socials because that noise is awful. So yeah, really the best way is through that newsletter. It's a direct pipeline to what we're working on and reading and all that stuff. Yeah, if there ever comes a time that I'm back on socials, you know that my mental health is bad. So be on the lookout for that. I'm sure it'll happen sometime.
It is a cry for help.
Yep. It's all cyclical. So I'll delete it 1 year, and then the next year I'm back on. It's it's all over the place.
I know the feeling. All right, perfect. Then you know what? Absolutely. I want to once again thank you both for taking the time to come on the show, Kitty, and talk with us about Frankenstein The Unconquered.
Yes, thanks for having us back. It's always a pleasure.
Always great to be here.
Hell yeah, every time, all the time. And for the folks at home, check out the cat, then go find the campaign, back it, go get some naughty covers, some foil covers. Hell, adopt a page, because that's the coolest thing I think I've seen on Kickstarter yet. And if nothing else, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Adios.
Golden age to present, digest to oversize. Never miss new comic day. Yeah, no surprise. So where's my no prize? Check the letter columns. Can't find issue 2. Collector problems, cliffhangers, mysteries. You need answers.